Hi, this is Lucy Paulise, and I'm today with Rebecca Hinds. She's the head of innovation of the Innovation Lab at Asana. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Luciana. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Well, wonderful. Thanks. And I know that you've launched a new research and that you'd like to share more about. So please, if you can tell us more about your role at the Innovation Lab and what is this research about, please?
Sure. So I lead the Work Innovation Lab at Asana, which is our internal think tank where we conduct research on the future of work. And we partner very closely with academic experts to conduct this research, currently working with about 24 different professors from all across the world. And the lab was really founded on the premise that work today is so complex, it's so dynamic that executives in particular, we were seeing this need and this desire for more research, more insight, and more data to help them navigate all the growing changes and challenges of work. And so increasingly our research, as you can imagine, has been more and more focused on artificial intelligence. And I'm really excited that this week we're launching what we call the Work Innovation Score alongside a body of research on how organizations can leverage AI to boost organizational productivity. And so the Work Innovation Score is based on your Asana data, using AI to understand what are those healthy collaboration behaviors within your organization that are driving innovation, and what are the ones that are harming or not helping innovation within your company. And so it's a benchmark, it's an industry-specific benchmark that enables you to assess your company's potential for innovation based on how you're using Asana.
Wow. So just by people like introducing the task that they will work on that day and kind of connecting with other coworkers and planning their days, is that enough for enough data for your research, or is that do you need anything else from the users?
So it's an organizational level metric. So it really is meant for executives within an organization to understand how their workers are collaborating. So it enables you to assess who's working with whom, where are there silos in organizations. We've seen, especially with the shift to remote work, there have been different silos that are popping up in organizations, especially across functional groups. And so the Work Innovation Score will allow you to understand where are those silos within your organization. Are they between marketing and IT? Are they more geographic between your Japan offices and your San Francisco offices? As well as who's overloaded with work, who's on the brink of burnout. And so the score itself is composed of 4 key metrics. And we looked at a lot of the academic research as well as the Asana work graph, which is this accurate measure and way to depict how work is actually happening in an organization in a way that links individuals to work outcomes, the most complete mapping of work today that exists. And what we found from those 2 inputs in particular was that there are 4 key drivers of innovation within organizations. So the first is cohesion. So this is how well your employees are working with one another. The second is velocity. So another key input of the Work Innovation Score is how quickly work, including ideas, including decisions, can move through your organization. Another is resilience. So this is probably the most top of mind in the executives I speak with today. How stable is your organization if individuals leave? So if they switch teams, if they leave the organization entirely. And then the last, which has been top of mind for years for executives and organizations, is capacity. So how much bandwidth do your employees have to do their best work? Are they overloaded with work? Are they underloaded with work? And how can you think as an executive about balancing that load within your organization? So it's meant to be an executive focused tool that helps organizations understand whether they're primed for innovation and what are those key opportunities that they can leverage to boost their potential for innovation.
So it looks like these four metrics have a lot to do with productivity. Is that right?
Exactly. And we see, and when we talk about innovation, often the knee-jerk reaction is to think about innovation in terms of product innovation. But just as important right now, if not more important, is how do you innovate your work processes? We know that productivity is so top of mind for executives. And in order to boost productivity within organizations, we really believe we need to innovate how we work. A lot of the practices that organizations rely on today, they've relied on for years or even decades. And there's an opportunity, we think, to rethink some of those practices in order to boost productivity.
Interesting. I'm seeing that in the research, that like I read kind of the research that you did, and it says that 99% of the respondents indicate that organizational productivity is important to the organization's leadership, higher than revenue growth, that is at 92%. Is that so? Wow.
It is, and it was a bit surprising to us too to see organizational productivity. We know it's important, but to see it rated as even more important to the executives within organizations today than revenue growth is pretty surprising, because if you think about what productivity is in service of, often it's in service of revenue growth as well. But I think it has become this top of mind concern for every organization, boosting productivity. And it's such a short-term lever that organizations are anchoring on. And I think there are definitely some positives in terms of really rethinking how we focus on productivity and the importance of productivity, but there's real dangers in over indexing on productivity as the North Star metric. So this research that you're referring to is the recent research that we produced alongside the Work Innovation Score, based on a global survey of about 3,000 executives. And we looked specifically at how executives versus individual contributors were reflecting on the importance of productivity as well as innovation and other metrics on their organization. And one of the things we saw across the board was this hyper focus on productivity across the organization.
So do you think, because I guess you've been researching about this for a long time, given that you have a PhD in innovation and productivity. So I was wondering if you saw this increase in this hyper focus on productivity after the pandemic, because I've seen that with a lot of coaches, that before the pandemic it wasn't so bad, but now when they work remotely, is that having tools to measure the productivity seems to be top of mind for managers. I don't know if you agree, or what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, productivity has been top of mind for businesses for decades, but I think how we speak about productivity and how we measure it has for sure changed since the Industrial Revolution, and even more so during the pandemic and after the pandemic. And I think a key reason for that is, in the past, we've been able to do a reasonable job at measuring productivity because so much of work has been linear, it's been task oriented, it's often, dating back to the Industrial Revolution, it's been very manual. So you can think of building widgets. These tasks were easily quantifiable. So you can think about how many widgets did a given employee produce, how many forms did they fill out, even how many tasks did they complete. Those were much easier to track and assess, much easier in terms of the metrics. But the modern workplace is so much more complex than it has been in the past. And so much of our work today is knowledge work, which